Okay, test. Good. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Today is gonna be class 19. So I'm gonna starting with the course contents. As you will see here, we're done with chapter 5, ISLM model. We're done with chapter 6, ISLM and BP. We're done with chapter 7, aggregate supply and the relationship between inflation and unemployment. Okay, the Philip curve. So today we're gonna go to the last chapter, chapter 8. Chapter 8 is gonna be about the dynamic model. Okay, we're gonna have dynamic aggregate demands and dynamic aggregate supply. Okay, so let's start. I already record the video clip, right? Okay, good. So for the dynamic model, okay, dynamic model. When you see the word dynamics, it means we're gonna have times in the model. Okay, we're gonna have times in the model, and for the GDP, okay, the most important variable is gonna be variable Y. The variable Y stands for GDP, right? And we have three main meaning, right? Okay, the first one is total output. The second one is total spending. And the last one, number 3, is total income, right? We have three main meaning. So for example, we have variable Y. In this chapter, we focus on dynamic model. We have times. So variable Y, in this chapter, we're gonna have T, a small t. YT, this one is stand for GDP at time T, okay? GDP at time T. For example, if I assume that T is like this year, 2025, which means that YT is like Y 2025. This is GDP for this year. If I write now as a YT minus 1, YT minus 1 is a GDP of a previous period, okay? If YT is 2025, it means that YT minus 1 is going to be Y 2024, 1 year earlier. Okay. If I write down as a YT plus 1, this is going to be GDP of the next period. Okay. GDP of the next period. If YT is 2025, YT plus 1 is going to be GDP of 2026. Okay, so right now we have times in the model. Okay, we have T minus 1, T plus 1. Okay, this one is indicated for the times period. So in this chapter, we're gonna have the new graph we call DAD. Okay, DAD is come from dynamic aggregate demand. And we're gonna have DAS. Okay. And DAS stand for dynamic aggregate supply. Okay. Dynamic aggregate demand is the demand for the whole country, and it can be changing over times. Dynamic aggregate supply is going to be supply for the whole country, and this also can be changing over times. Okay. So before we get into DAD, dynamic aggregate demand, and DAS, dynamic aggregate supply, today we're going to talk about 5 main equations that we're going to use in this chapter. Okay. We're going to have 5 main equations. Okay, starting with equation number 1. Equation number 1 is going to be the demands for good and service. Okay, demand for good and service. Okay, the first equation is look like this: YT equal to YT bar minus alpha RT minus rho plus epsilon T. This is the equation of demand for good and service. Okay, YT, you know it. YT is a GDP at time T. In this case, it's about demand. So GDP, in this case, means total spending, how people spending the money. Okay. And then we have YT bar, you know it. YT bar is the GDP at full employment level. Okay. And then this is coming out. Wait a minute. อ๋อแป๊บนึงนะปิดอัตโนมัติ Okay. Yeah, it's come out. Good. Okay. Okay, you know YT, you know YT bar. Okay, don't worry about alpha. Alpha is just some parameters. Next one is gonna be RT. RT is a real interest rate. Okay. And then this is a new one, rho. Okay. Rho is a natural rate of interest rate. Rho is, we need rho just for comparison, okay? Just like we have YT and YT bar. How are we gonna know that GDP is too high or too low? We need to compare it with Y bar. Last time we talked about unemployment. How are we gonna know that unemployment is too high or too low? We compare it with UN, natural rate of unemployed, right? So here, today we have rho. Rho is a natural rate of interest rate. So how are we gonna know that the real interest rate is too high or too low? We're gonna compare it with rho. So we have rho just for comparison. And then we have epsilon T. Epsilon T is gonna be demand shock. Okay. This is the detail of the first equation. So if I bring equation, if I write down the equation again, YT equal to YT bar minus alpha RT minus rho plus epsilon T. If I assume that if we don't have demand shock, epsilon T equal to 0. So this term is going to be disappear. And then if I rearranging the equation, I move yt bar to the left. I'm going to get bracket yt minus yt bar equal to minus alpha rt minus rho. This is what I have. Okay, this is what I have. So, to understand this equation, yes.
We can see the screen.
The screen is not
Sir.
moving.
Yes, Ajahn.
Oh, let me stop and share it again. Okay, is that good now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, Ajahn.
Okay, if you have any problem, you can open the microphone and tell me because I cannot see, okay? So to understand this equation, okay, we're gonna compare the bracket on the left with the bracket on the right, okay? And don't forget that in front of the bracket on the right, you have a negative here, okay? So then, let's say if RT equal to rho, the right-hand side of the equation is equal to 0, okay? This one, if RT equal to rho, is mean that the real Z is okay, not too high, not too low. The real Z is equal to the natural rate, okay? The real Z is okay, not too high, not too low. The right-hand side of the equation equal to 0 is mean that the left-hand side is going to be equal to 0 too. So YT equal to YT bar, okay? Which means the economy also okay. Not too high, not too low. YT equal to YT bar. Next one, if I change the color, if the real Z is too high, let me change to the red color. RT greater than rho. Okay. In the bracket become positive. In front of the bracket is negative, which means the right hand side of the equation is negative, right? Okay. This is the case of the real Z is too high. RT is too high. Okay. The right hand side of the equation is negative, then the left should be negative. So YT is going to be less than YT bar. If the real Z is too high, the economy is bad. Okay. If the real Z is too high, the economy is bad. On the opposite way, if the real Z is too low, real Z is less than rho. Okay. If the bracket is negative, in front of the bracket is negative. Okay. This is a case that interest rate is too low, which is good. When interest rate is too low, people want to borrow more, spend more, right? Okay. The right hand side, negative and negative become positive. So that is mean that the left hand side should be positive too. YT greater than YT bar, which means the economy is very good. Got it? Okay, so the interest rate is the main factor. The real estate is the main factor. If the real estate is too high, people slow down their spending, people slow down their borrowing. Okay, the economy in the term of the demand, people are going to spend less. Demand is bad. Economy is bad. If the real estate is too low, okay, which is good, people are going to borrow more, spend more. Demand for the whole country, people are going to spend more, right? Demand for the whole country increasing. Economy is very good. YT is greater than YT bar. Okay. By compare between two sides of the equation, you will know the meaning of the equation. Any question here? Still good? Okay, then I bring the equation down, yt equal to yt bar minus alpha rt minus rho plus epsilon t. Come back to the main equation again. Now we're gonna focus on the demand shock, epsilon t. How demand shock affects demand for the whole country, YT, total spending. Okay. If we have positive demand shock, okay, if we have a positive demand shock, epsilon t increasing, okay, the right-hand side of the equation increasing, then the left-hand side is going to be increasing. Which means if we have positive demand shock, it means that we have some external factor that make people spend more. Total spending increasing. On the other hand, if we have a negative demand shock, okay, epsilon t going down, okay, the right hand side of the equation going down, the left hand side is going to be going down too. People gonna spend less. This is like we have some external factor that make people spend less. Total spending going down. Okay. This is the meaning of the first equation. Okay. The equation of demand for good and service is equation number 1. Next, we're gonna move to equation number 2. Equation number 2 is the Fisher equation. Okay, the Fisher equation. Okay, the Fisher equation is look like this. We have RT equal to IT minus epsilon T pi T plus 1. RT is a real interest rate today. Okay, RT is a real interest rate today. IT, this is a nominal interest rate today. ET, this is expected at time T. What people think today? Pi T plus 1, this is inflation for inflation in the future at time T plus 1. Okay. So ET pi T plus 1, this is what people think today about the inflation that's going to happen tomorrow. What people think today about inflation that's going to happen in the future, let's say. This equation is actually how the real interest rate come from. Okay. Let me give you more example, okay? Like today, you have time period today, and let's say next year, future is like next year. For example, you have 100, you save 100 baht today. With the nominal interest rate I equal to 0.05 or 5%, which means if you save 100 baht today, tomorrow you're going to get 1 plus interest rate multiplied by the money that you save. Okay, so if you save 100 baht today, 5% nominal interest rate, you're going to get 105 next year. Your money increasing, right? Your money increasing. However, even though nominal interest rate equal to 5%, which means that your money going to be increasing 5% over 1 year. However, okay, in 1 year, something else may change, like the price. Today, if you not save, if you spend that money to buy, let's say, a bottle of water, if the bottle of water is like 10 baht, let's say 10 baht per bottom, 10 baht per bottle, okay? So it means that today, if you spend 100 baht, you can buy 10 bottle. However, because you decide to save the money in the bank, after 1 year, your money increasing from 100 to 105, right? However, next year, the water maybe become more expensive. Like it's maybe become $12, 12 baht, let's say, per bottom. So even though your money increasing because of the nominal interest rate, however, your purchasing power actually decrease. You see, because everything become more expensive, right? Even though your money increasing to 105, but because of water become more expensive from 10 to 12, okay, you can buy only 8.75 bottom of water. Okay, this is because of inflation. So then the real return that you're gonna get, you actually have to take the inflation effect out of the nominal interest rate. So this is why it's become RT equal to IT minus expected T pi T plus 1. Okay. If today nominal interest rate is 5% or 0.05, okay, if today nominal interest rate equal to 5% or 0.05, you have to think about what is the inflation that's going to happen in the future. If you're thinking that in the future, next year, inflation may be 4%, 0.04. So it means that the real return that you're going to get, the real interest rate that you're going to get is only 0.05 minus 0.04 equal to 0.01 or 1%. You got it? This is the meaning of the real interest rate. Real interest rate comes from nominal interest rate minus what do you expect about inflation in the future. Okay, good. This is equation number 2, Fisher equation. And then we go to equation number 3. This is going to be Philip curve. We learned about Philip curve before, last class, remember? Okay. So we're going to have a Philip curve pi t equal to expected t minus 1 pi t. Pi t is the inflation today. Expected t minus 1 is what people expect yesterday about pi t, about inflation they're gonna be today. Okay. Plus phi, don't worry about this one. Bracket yt minus yt bar plus vt, supply shock. This is actually the Philip curve equation before we, okay, this is the version of Philip curve before we plugging in the Oku law. If we plugging in Oku law, we're going to have unemployment in Philip curve equation. But here we have GDP. You see the bracket yt minus yt bar. We have a GDP in the Philip curve equation. So this is a version before we plug in Oku law. If you compare to the previous class. Then from the main equation, pi t equal to pi t minus 1 pi t plus phi yt minus yt bar plus Vt. I assume that if we don't have supply shock, Vt equal to 0. So Vt is going to be disappear. Assume that if we don't have supply shock. I rearranging the equation. I'm going to get a bracket on the left, which is pi t minus et minus 1 pi t equal to the bracket on the right, phi yt minus yt bar. Again, to understand this equation, we need to consider two brackets together. The bracket on the left and the bracket on the right. What is the meaning of this? Okay. If YT equal to YT bar, the bracket on the right equal to 0. This one is like the economy is okay. It's normal. Okay. GDP stay at the full employment level. If the economy is okay, on the right, on the left hand side, the right hand side equal to 0. The left hand side should be equal to 0 too. So pi t equal to expected pi t minus 1, expected t minus 1 pi t. Inflation today equal to what people expect. You see? What people expect yesterday about inflation today actually equal to what happened today. So if inflation today equal to what people think, inflation today equal to what people expected, okay, so it means that everything in the economy is not too expensive and not too cheap. The price is okay. Okay. On the other hand, if YT greater than YT bar, the right hand side of the equation is positive. This one, the economy is very good. The right hand side is positive, it means that the left hand side have to be positive too. So pi t is going to be greater than pi t minus 1 pi t. Inflation today is higher than what people expected, which means everything is expensive. Okay. Inflation is higher than what people expect. So it means that everything is expensive. Okay. Positive equal to positive. If economy is very good, it's going to be following by everything become more expensive. On the other hand, if YT less than YT bar, the right hand side is negative. This one is mean the economy is bad. The right hand side is negative, then the left hand side should be negative too. Then pi t less than expected t minus 1 pi t. Inflation is lower than what people expected. So it means everything in the economy is quite cheap. When the economy is bad, everything becomes cheap because nobody buy it. When everything is very good, everything becomes more expensive because people are spending too much. Okay, it should be make sense in this way. Any question here? So then I bring the main equation here again. Pi t equal to expected t minus 1 pi t plus 3 yt minus yt bar plus vt. Okay, then I want to check the relationship between supply shock Vt and the inflation pi t. Okay. If we have positive supply shock, okay, which means Vt increasing. Positive supply shock is mean that for some reason, for some factor, it make the cost of production become higher. Like we have a war and then the price of oil become increasing. When oil price increasing, everything become more expensive. Okay. If VT increasing, the right hand side of the equation increasing, the left hand side is going to be increasing too. So when we have positive supply shock, everything become more expensive, inflation increasing. On the opposite way, we may have a negative supply shock. Negative supply shock is VT going down. This is mean we have some factor that affect the cost of production. It make the cost of production become lower. For example, we have a new technology, AI, computer, robot, or something like that. It make the cost of production become lower. If VT going down, the right hand side of the equation going down, right? Then the left hand side going down too, which means inflation will be lower. Everything becomes cheap, cheaper than before. See? Okay. This is everything about the Philip curve equation, how the inflation gonna change. This is equation 3. Then we're gonna go to equation 4. Equation 4, we call it as adaptive expectation. Okay. Expected at time t about inflation time t plus 1 always equal to pi t. This equation means that when people thinking today about how inflation is going to be tomorrow, okay? Inflation tomorrow that people think always equal to inflation that happened today. This is the meaning of this equation. What people think today about inflation that going to happen tomorrow always based on inflation that already happened today. Which means that people are going to expect that inflation tomorrow going to be always equal to inflation today. Okay, this is the meaning of this equation. This is a simple one. This is equation 4. Don't have any deep meaning, just the meaning, the simple meaning from the equation. Then we go to the last equation, equation 5. Equation 5, we call it as the monetary policy loose equation. Okay. This equation controlled by central bank. CB, okay, central bank. This equation is quite long. IT is a nominal interest rate equal to pi t inflation plus rho natural rate of interest rate plus theta pi t minus pi t star plus theta yt minus yt bar. Okay. Central bank can control nominal interest rate. Yeah. Okay. Central bank can control nominal interest rate based on this equation. Don't worry about theta pi. Theta pi is just some parameter. We're going to talk about it later on. Don't worry about theta y. Theta y is just some parameter. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk about it later on. Okay. The new variable here is pi star. Here, pi t star. Pi t star is going to be inflation target. We have pi t star just in order, just for comparison. Again, just like we have YT and YT bar. How are we going to know that GDP is too high or too low? We compare it with YT bar. How are we going to know that inflation is too high or too low? We compare it with the inflation target, pi t star. So we have pi t star just for comparison. Okay. Then if I write down the equation again below, IT equal to pi t plus rho plus theta pi t minus pi t star plus theta yt minus yt bar. Okay. The central bank gonna increase or decrease the nominal interest rate. It's gonna based on 2 factors. The first factor is the bracket of inflation, pi t minus pi t star. The second bracket is the problem of economy, yt minus yt bar. Okay. Starting with the first one, I use the green color. Yeah. Inflation problem. If pi t greater than pi t star, inflation is higher than inflation target. This bracket become positive, right? Inflation is higher than inflation target. It means that we have a problem. Everything in the economy is expensive, right? Pi t greater than pi t star. This bracket become positive. The right hand side of the equation increasing. Then the left hand side gonna be increasing too, right? So which means if we have inflation problem, central bank gonna be increasing the interest rate. You see? This is how central bank gonna respond. Why they increasing the interest rate? If they're increasing the interest rate, the cost of borrowing become higher, right? People gonna borrow less, right? Business sector gonna be invest less. People gonna spend less. Then everything is gonna be cheaper. See, it should be make sense. On the other hand, if pi t is less than pi t star, inflation is too low, right? Lower than the target. It means everything in the economy is cheap, right? The right hand side of the equation become lower because this bracket become negative. If the right hand side become lower, the left hand side gonna be lower too, which means central bank gonna be lower the interest rate down. If inflation is too low, they're gonna lower the interest rate down, which is good. Because if the interest rate become lower, people are gonna be borrow more. Business sector gonna be invest more. People gonna spend more, right? And the price is gonna going up. See, this is only the first bracket, the green color. Then the second bracket, the red color. If YT greater than YT star, oh, YT bar, sorry. This bracket become positive, right? It means that the economy is very good. The economy is very good. The right hand side is increasing, right? Okay, the right hand side increasing, YT greater than YT bar. The right hand side is increasing, is positive. Then the left hand side gonna be increasing too, right? Which means interest rate, central bank gonna be increasing interest rate, which they can slow down the economy by doing this. They're gonna slow down the economy. On the opposite way, if YT less than YT bar, the economy is bad. Okay, this bracket become negative. The right hand side of the equation become lower. Then the left hand side is going to be lower too. Central bank going to lower the nominal interest rate down. This is considered as to stimulate the economy. Got it? Okay. So this is the meaning of this equation. How central bank going to change the nominal interest rate based on the problem of inflation and the problem of economy based on two brackets. Okay. So if I bring down the full equation, I write down the full equation again. IT equal to pi t plus rho plus theta pi t minus pi t star plus theta yt minus yt bar. If I write down the whole equation again, and then if I assume that we are in okay situation, okay, no inflation problem. Inflation today equal to inflation target. GDP equal to the full employment level. Okay. If we in the okay situation, no inflation problem, no economy problem, the bracket pi t equal to pi t star, this bracket equal to 0. Yt equal to yt bar, this bracket also equal to 0. Which means the whole equation reduced to it equal to pi t plus rho. Just like that. Rearranging the equation a little bit. IT minus pi t equal to rho. If I bring equation 2, Fisher equation here, RT equal to IT minus expected T pi T plus 1. If I bring equation 3 here, adaptive expectation, expected T pi T plus 1 equal to pi T. Then what you're going to have is, you can see that equation 3 and equation 2, they have the common terms. I can simply plug in equation 3 into equation 2. By doing this, I'm going to get RT equal to IT minus pi t. And then you can see that IT minus pi t equal to RT, which is here on your left-hand side. I can plug it in. I can combine two equations together. In the end, I get RT equal to rho. This is what I want. Okay, so you can see that if economy is okay, YT equal to YT bar. If inflation is okay, pi t equal to pi t star. Then real interest rate also okay. Real interest rate equal to natural rate of interest equal to rho. This is the meaning from this equation. So far so good? Okay. Then we're done with 5 equations. Okay. So this is all for today. Today we learn about 5 main equation. Equation 1, we have yt equal to yt bar minus alpha rt minus rho plus epsilon t. This is an equation of demand for good and service. Equation 2, we have Fisher equation, rt equal to it plus expected t pi t plus 1. Equation 3, the Philip curve, pi t equal to expected t minus 1, pi t plus 3 yt minus yt bar plus vt. Adaptive expectation, expected t pi t plus 1 equal to pi t. And equation 5, the monetary policy rules, it equal to pi t plus rho plus theta pi t minus pi t star plus theta y, yt minus yt bar. Okay, this is 5 main equation that you need to understand. Okay, so we're gonna stop here today. Next time we're gonna combine 5 equation here to make the equation of DAD, dynamic aggregate demand, and the equation of the AS, dynamic aggregate supply. Okay, so this is all for today. Gonna see you again tomorrow. We're gonna have 2 more classes and then we're done for this semester. Okay, see you tomorrow and then on Monday. That's it.